something like red preparation. Can I live comfortably in the jungle, on
Yeah.
the river? Can I survive? Have I got appropriate personal administration? Am I disciplined enough to look after my feet and change my clothes? But then aside from being able to live, survive, and ultimately thrive and be one step ahead in these environments, you can be a great healthcare professional back home. But does your knowledge apply to that environment? You may have a paramedic, great advanced cardiac life support in the street, but if you don't have that equipment in the jungle and you're only working with what's in your rucksack or your pelly case, you need to be able to adapt and improvise or change your protocols. Does he have knowledge of bites and stings, the local epidemiology, the local flora and fauna, training snake bites, dermatology, insect bites, allergies? It's all so specific. Unless you're coming in very well prepared, you're blind, and then you become a liability. Really.
Yeah.
And plus, for you as a TV leader, your medic's now gone. You've now got to source another one, which may hold up that filming process, hold up the expedition, because
Definitely.
you're now got no medic.
Yeah.
You're 3 weeks up at Mirador in the middle of nowhere with no support at all.
Yeah.
And again, talk about paramedics. We're all paramedics, so paramedics are great for their particular environment, pre-hospital environment. There are specialty paramedics, critical care paramedics, flight paramedics, community paramedics, extended care paramedics. Then you can bolt on other qualifications to broaden your scope of practice. For example, the UK Health and Safety Offshore Medic course talks more about primary care, antibiotics. You then need to have the top cover from your medical director, whether it be online or offline, written protocols or guidelines, or online telemedicine, speaking to him face to face, so they can add a little bit more depth to your knowledge, guide you in what you're seeing, authorise your protocols, treatment, interventions. It's not just deploying a healthcare professional with a team.
Yeah.
It's having the whole chain, the whole backup, the logistics, the paperwork, the top side, the top cover.
I think, the best experience I've had with paramedics is the one that comes asking me who is the local people that I'm going to be working with. Like the paramedic that comes and says, all right, who is the local crew? All right, and then adapts. And what basically a good paramedic will do is kind of train some of the people that are going to be with them to just do the basic things he's going to need to be successful in what he has to do. And I had this paramedic for this TV show last time that he brought meds that he knew he needed to have. But one of the first things he said is, what kind of meds can I get in Guatemala?
Brilliant.
So you get here,
Brilliant.
and you get identified to what you can get, what you can reach that are handy.
Yeah.
And then the other cool thing is, what do locals do to prevent this? And so it's not about you let the locals work, but it's like just really just trying to get the information, the inside information of what happens, but also how is the natural, like how do people cure things in the area? But then that also just helps them get an idea of how he works and how he can adapt his skills to the skills he's going to need in the area, and who can he rely on.
And breaks down barriers.
That exactly breaks down barriers. But the other thing is that is a great paramedic that has low ego.
Yep.
He's not that paramedic trying to show off how cool his gear is. You know, he's got the best gear ever, but he's got it with him. But he knows that there's options, and he kind of teaches people, look, this is what I have. This is how it works. Because this is the thing. If you're going to be in the woods for 12 days with a crew that you've never been out there with, and you can show them basic things of what you have, but you can also learn from what they have,
Yep.
now you have a solid crew. It's not just you getting things solved. Now you have people that you can rely on that can help you do what they can do. And that's what you need sometimes. Sometimes you just need hands to evacuate someone.
Well,
But you do everything, and then you just evacuate that person. So you gain confidence in them, and you gain a team, a crew that you can work with. So when I've done some shows, that has been key. And that's actually one of the first things that I'll teach someone. I normally tell them, everything you know is not going to happen here. It's like, you're in Guatemala.
It's gonna be
Everything
different.
you know
Yeah.
is not going to happen here.
Take the book,
Like,
throw it away.
yeah,
Yeah.
step number one, everything you know will not happen here. And I am not here to tell you what to do. I am here to guide you on to what you can do and how to do it better through these tools.
Adapting to the environment and what's
Exactly.
available.
So then you start adapting. And that's the important thing. Wherever you're at, adapt. Adapt. Don't forget your roots. Don't forget what you know. Don't forget your knowledge. Don't forget your gear. But adapt, because there's other solutions in the area. So you don't have to be closed-minded and say, no, I'm only going to do this, like this and this and this.
Well, it's
No.
not just that. It's traditions and barriers and cultural and religious barriers and considerations as well. We did something similar in Iraq and Kurdistan involving, from the transition to having teams of all expats or all Brits or all Americans, we gradually transitioned across to having more Iraqis on our teams. And they were so important in the integration of our teams to the safe operation, from local knowledge for route finding, or them being able to pick up on local signals and behaviour in the area being different. Hey guys, normally this market's open on a Tuesday, why is it closed? What's going on? Or just to guide you into where to find local supplies, or how to operate in terms of local customs. You can't touch this guy in this way. Don't use that word.
Yeah.
Don't touch the local females. You've got to have a sound understanding of local customs before you can get involved in the medicine.
Something as simple of, what does it mean if the wind blows from that direction? You know, I remember when I used to do research as a marine biologist, I lived basically on the Caribbean for 6 years, kind of diving the whole day.
Nice.
And as I was doing that, it was great, but I was just working with fishermen. The way to get the information was hanging out with the fishermen. You know, I'm going to go dive to the site that has the best coral of Guatemala. Or I want to go find coral, because we actually found the first, hard corals of Guatemala. So we're getting on a canoe, wooden canoe, paddling with garifones.
Brilliant.
Because the way they find coral is they would stick the wooden paddle to their ear when it's in the water, and when it would sound kruk, 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 that meant there was coral.
You don't get that in a manual, do you? You don't find that
How the
information in a book.
So we just paddled. I put my diving gear on the canoe, and the canoe wasn't bigger than, it was like 6 feet. And it was the size of a tree, so if I would lean to a side, we could flip. But you're paddling, and he goes, krook, 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 krook. Oh, the coral's here. I put my gear, I jump in, and there it was.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So, things like that. Locals have knowledge, more knowledge than we expect.
Yeah.
And when it comes to medicine, when it comes to finding things, when it comes to developing things, sometimes you got to be humble and just listen.
And you need support from the locals when you want to implement your medical emergency response plan, evacuate someone. If your vehicle gets stuck in the mud, you can't get it out. You need another vehicle, you need mules, you need another 12 people to carry your patient. They're the people you're going to rely on. They're going to know the shortest route, the safest route, the quickest route, where to get other transport, which trees you can fell to make an improvised stretcher.
Yeah.
It's so important. And we learned a lot of that over this weekend. The guys down there were very humble, very helpful.
So it's great to be trained, but one of the most important things is to have a good personality. To not have much ego, to not be thinking about, I just want to show off. It's really, be humble, be a person. And then you're going to be able to have a great plan, a great team, and you're going to be really successful on everything you do.
And you have been successful. You've looked after some international personalities, you've looked after TV documentary crews, tourists coming to do rappel in waterfalls, kayak trips, all this kind of thing. Your success, Chris and I have discussed this numerous times, I think your success is born in planning, local respect, in investment in your core teams. Things always happen outside of the plan. Murphy's Law always strikes.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest medical issues you've seen? Despite good planning and preparation, what are the medical things you've seen on jungle and or river expeditions?
Well, we've had situations where people just lose all their energy, and like, let's say we were filming in the Mayan jungle for several days, and we had guys on a special diet, the
Ketogenic.
the ketogenic diet. So these guys just didn't eat certain things, but ate a few specific things.
Yeah,
And
ketogenic's very high fat, low carb.
yeah, so they get
protein.
all their energy from fat and from protein. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So no sugar, no
super low carbs.
Yeah, no carbs. And at first it was fine. They came in all powerful and stuff, but just the weather beat them down. Just the fact that it's hot, it's humid, they don't have enough energy. Even if, they're getting energy, but, they just started going down. So by the end of the first week, we had people just sending them to rest to get back ready, and then slowly readapting their eating habits, and just kind of creating a new just way of eating with the local food we had, and then slowly got them up. So that was something medical, I guess, but we didn't treat it with medicine. We kind of more treated it with just kind of readapting the nutrition skills.
And you can kind of prevent it in a way if you can communicate with the whole team in advance and talk about expectations and what kind of food they can expect to see.
Yeah.
And can they adjust their diet in advance?
Yeah. The thing is, even if I think I sent them a summary about everything, and even that, they were like, no, but we have this diet, and we have it under control, and we're good. And then suddenly, boom, they start going down. So that's a concern.
Yep.
The other thing is, we've had situations where people just don't have, they're not prepared completely for what they're expecting and what can go wrong. You just think everything's going to be just perfectly right, and then suddenly things happen. But normally this will happen when people are either stressed or are not just kind of focused on what they're doing, and then things start to happen. They'll lose, their sugar goes down. That's kind of like the biggest thing. Under stress, people don't make the right decisions. Things starts breaking down, and people start having the need of us coming in and just getting them back up.
That's why the role of the leader, the medic as well, but particularly the leader, is huge when it comes down to managing human resource and group dynamics. Every person's different anyway, but they react differently to the different stresses, the changes of climate, the energy levels, and it's a constant process. And if you don't nip it in the bud and you don't identify in advance, and somebody takes a left turn instead of a right turn, doesn't follow protocol, you add other risks that maybe weren't pre-seen.
Yeah, we normally see this happen constantly when it comes to climbing volcanoes or being in a mountain. I think that's one of the most common places where we have that kind of change of personality in someone, or just things starts happening. Because we normally give always a safety chat, and we start reading people. But when we start hiking, let's say we start hiking, as we're hiking, we're reading people. We're seeing how they're walking, we're seeing how they're moving. We can see how they started really strong and fast, and suddenly they start just melting down and getting slow, and they start saying that maybe their head hurts. So you just start identifying small symptoms, and you say, we're at 2,500 meters. This person's starting to get hit by altitude. And people here sometimes, they underestimate altitude, or people underestimate getting hypothermia. Like, we go to the river, people just think, well, Guatemala is a warm country, we're in the Pacific coast, it's hot, and they just get a cotton shirt, they're going in the water. Like, things like that do happen. And so when it comes to medical, it's just really more reading people, identifying where they're at the moment, and then just kind of putting in, hey, you have this, and you just kind of either treat them with, sometimes it's just sugar, sometimes it's just they have a wet shirt that's just creating that scenario where they're starting to get close to hypothermia. So you should switch them to something, and it's common here. The reason why those things happen in Guatemala is, even if you send a gear list, they will bring what they have. They will bring what they own. Or if you have just a traveler, he will give what he has, or he will bring what he just finds in his backpack. The other thing is, in other countries like Spain and France, you're always thinking about hypothermia because the rivers run on snowmelt water.
Yeah.
So you give everyone a wetsuit, you give everyone a life jacket, and you give long sleeve wetsuits if it's a colder day. So people are being, you're thinking about hypothermia. But in a country like this, you're not thinking about hypothermia because it's hot.
Yeah, we saw that last weekend. Everybody turned up ready for a tropical day, and then we got the